In conversation with some fascinating ladies who've changed the game in the world of video, music and gaming. Only on Hungama's Women Game Changers 2022 podcast.
Hello everybody, this is your host Andrea D'Souza and welcome back to another episode of the Hungama Women Game Changers podcast. The Hungama Women Game Changers initiative was launched on 8th of March 2022 in order to felicitate and congratulate all the amazing work done by women in music, gaming and entertainment industries. And today we are in conversation with one of the winners of the first edition. We have with us today a winner from the music industry who has worked in corporate as well as music, who has juggled both together, and right now she is the founder of the folk band Sophistication and she has had one of her songs featured on the OTT show The Family Man. So she has a lot of experience and some amazing music, and without prolonging this introduction any further, today we have with us Aabha Hanjura. So hi Aabha, it is amazing to have you on board.
Hi.
So for starters, to begin with, how did you end up in the music industry? Did you always think you're going to be a singer, get into a band?
Yeah, I mean, how I started in the music industry, it was back then 2005-6, I don't remember the year exactly. I'm always blurred on that. But I auditioned for the season 2 of Indian Idol, and it was something that it was wild for me at the time. I didn't even go to it seriously. My brother was forcing me to audition, so I was just like, okay, fine, just to make you happy, I will do it. Before I knew it, I was in the finals. That was the first time that I got some kind of validation for my talent. Mm-hmm. And then, I was one of the finalists, and, lots of fame ensued, and it was very impromptu, it was very quick. Everything was very sudden. That's what happens with a huge reality show or when you're put on TV. Mm-hmm. But, the stuff like that, at its own time, it has its peak and it dies down too. And I think I was meant to tell my own story. So I somehow didn't relate to the Bollywood scene at the time, and I think I was always meant to be an indie artist. As time continued, I went on to exploring different paths in life, and then eventually I decided that I'm going to, though there is still a void in life and I need to fill it, and then I realized that was music not being an active part of my life. I started my band Sophistication. I think thankfully I'm the product of the Bangalore indie scene, which is a really vibrant scene.
Right.
And it's got a lot of interesting artists and a lot of collaborations and I think, there were so many venues and there's so much that happens in the independent space in this city. Mm-hmm. I think I really was fortunate to work with some of the most brilliant artists and brilliant producers. And, it was very collaborative. The audience is also really amazing over here. It's a very nice cosmopolitan audience. So we ended up really, Sophistication became this melting pot of cultures, and it became this act that really marries a lot of my influences, whether it's Sufi music, folk music, music from different regions. It's essentially something that has become like the breeding ground of all the new music that I've written. So from there, then there was this breakthrough hit, Hookus Bookus, which was from my first album, Sound of Kashmir. Yeah, and then there's rest, as they say, is history.
Right. Hookus Bookus actually took up the OTT space like a storm because it got featured on one of the shows as well, right?
Yeah, it did. So it was brilliant. I think I really had a lot of... the song was popular when it came also, but there was a time when, the Rajan DK team, they, kind of got in touch with me. And I knew that they were the producers of Stree and all these brilliant films that I loved. And they wanted to use the song in a series that they were doing. It was this first season, so nobody knew what was this series going to be and would it really, really blow up. But for me, I think at the time, the only thing that mattered to me was that I was working with somebody as brilliant as them. So I was like, yes, absolutely, let's go for it. And Family Man turned out to be such a great show. I mean, that is amazing too. And I think these things kind of work in a correlation. And I think the song really also got a lot of its exposure, and it got a renewed life through Family Man.
Right.
And then kind of blew up all over again.
Okay, so Aabha, you've been in the industry since like 2005, 2006. If you had an alternate career, what would that be? I mean, you're a singer, you've been a singer for so many years now, but if there was something else to do, what would that be?
I don't know. Actually, someone else asked me this recently, and I don't know what I would do if I was not a musician. Because I already did that. So I already went and had a corporate career and, did something in advertising for a while. And I realized that, while I was good at that, it was not my eventual calling in life. But there is this like little silent desire that I have, of being this very cool travel blogger who just like travels the world. And, there are those people who are on Nat Geo and all of that. I find all of that very, very cool. I think if given opportunity, I think at some point I would do that. If I was not a musician, I would be traveling all over the world and telling people about the beautiful things that are around that they can see and cultures. I mean, I enjoy that. I really love different cultures. It really, really excites me to know about different countries and what goes on there and how do people live there and why especially in terms of music, I feel like Europe is that one place that I really want to go to and then, just immerse myself in how there is so much music from the world music that really, kind of travels everywhere through Europe. So I would love to do something like that, I guess, at some point.
That is pretty cool, actually. Very free-spirited, very, very lively of a soul you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you can't put me in one place or you can't put me in one box. I just get really, really, for someone like me, if I am in one place for long, I really start getting restless. So yeah, I think I need to always be moving.
I get that. I totally get that. So before you started, did you have someone you were looking up to, maybe in the music space or, just to draw inspiration from?
I listen to a bunch of music from all over actually, I think, and there have been so many artists that have influenced me, immensely. Journeys of so many musicians that I have really, really loved. I am a music documentary, avid watcher of those, I think I've always loved to observe careers and what people do and how does, like from everyone, from Whitney Houston to Michael Jackson to, contemporary Indian, artists or even like people who were way before us but who have really, really redefined genres like Jagjit Singh Saab. I think he was such a rock star. He could really, really reinvent a whole genre of music. I think that's what he did. And at the same time, he really made it so contemporary for a younger audience. And then at the same time, while he sang ghazals, he was filling up auditoriums. I think I really love that about him. Of course, apart from the fact that his voice is golden and it's, forever going to be in our hearts. I have really, bands, I've looked up to so many. So I listen to everyone from Nora Jones to Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. So it's a really, really wide spectrum.
So then moving forward, what inspires or what motivates you to make your own music? I mean, you've been listening to so many different genres for so long, but what's this one thing that made you want to stick to folk music?
I think, folk music is people's music, and it's something that I've always identified with very strongly as an individual and also like as an audience first and then as an artist. For me, folk music speaks stories that are very, very real, very honest, and very true to those times, whenever that music was originated. If you take the example of Hocus Pocus, it's essentially a song that's telling a very deep philosophical tale, and it's as old as time. But then it was dumbed down for kids because that's how wisdom is passed to kids. So I feel it's so relevant as a genre, as basically music that we can own as people, which that is folk music for me. Whether you talk about songs that I'm right now doing with my current EP, which is Sophistication Folk Sessions. I just released a song called Banku Deya Chachua, which is a Pahadi folk song, very popular in the regions of North India like Jammu and Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. In that, the lady is very teasingly telling her husband that, you are going away to the big city to do all your work and all of that, and you're leaving me behind to do all the household, chores, and I'm tired of it and I'm not happy. But at the same time, it's said in a very fun, way Now that's a very telling story of a time where women were not working. They were only handling the home, and at the same time they were living in joint family setups. And what were the stories of women at the time? So she's also mentioning Sasana Nanu Menu Migi Jean Ne Din Diya, which means basically that, I, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, they don't let me sit even for a day. And these are stories which were very real for women at the time, and I think that they used music as a tool to tell them. So folk is very authentic to people. It's very authentic to who we are as people. Therefore I always believed in folk a lot, and I still do, and I'll continue to, because at the end of the day, this is music that comes from your heart, and it tells your actual rooted stories of your land. It's about embracing identities. I think that's what it is, and I think that's what I really love about folk. So that's the reason I keep experimenting with different languages. I keep going into different kinds of folk music, but at the same time, while sprinkling a lot of me in it.
Makes sense. That's really pretty to hear. When music is carried on forwardly, the next generation will be able to know what Sufi is and what folk is and what ghazals and bhajans are, and all of these are so central to India, and that needs to be passed on to the next generations as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's beautiful to know that. So Aabha, the music that you sing or the music that you perform is folk. But when you're listening to music, or when you're just vibing to it, how do you vibe? Like, do you sit down aram se and just chill and vibe, or do you actually go out and while partying you actually listen to different music? So what's your way of getting more musical content inside you?
So I'm the most ear in the world. I love all kinds of music. I don't have any such. For me, music is music. It can come from anywhere, and it could be of any genre, any language, and I would love it for what it offers at that time. I don't have, I don't listen to only a certain kind of music. I know a lot of artists, they do that, but not me. I love Punjabi pop as much as I love, jazz, as much as I love, neo soul, as much as I love indie music, as much as I love some of the Bollywood stuff, that also, like some of it, not all. Some of it is good that comes, actually now it's a little all right, but before, there are such amazing composers like Rahman Saab, Mitra Vedi, who've done some great scores. So I feel like for me, it's always the song. It doesn't matter. I listen to a lot of South Indian music, a lot of independent bands. But when I'm vibing to music, for me, I am a huge party animal, so I always dance. I'm always the one who's dancing on the floor till the end. So Punjabi is my jam. And a lot of English classic rock is also my jam. I really, really love a lot of new age Hindi music that's also coming in the independent space. Some of that is also really cool. So it really depends on the mood.
Right.
But I am the kind of person who has music on while showering too. When I'm driving, I'm the one who's loudly singing all to myself in a car if I'm, the Diljit Dosanjh track playing. So it's really depends on the mood. So
totally get it, and I totally relate to that as well, because you have different moods for different music, and you can't listen to the same kind of music always. So I totally can relate to you at the moment very much. So Aabha, when you started back in 2005 with Indian Idol, back then, did you feel like it was, the amount of contestants were women and the amount of contestants that were men were kind of equal, or were there more men and less women? And coming from there to now, do you think there's been a growth in the industry with regards to women and men?
Well, I felt like amount of contestants were fairly equal, if I think so. If I would like to, I don't know, can't remember that. But at the same time, when it comes to representation in the music industry as a whole, not just because the music industry is really wide. It's not just artists. It's artists, people behind the scenes, people who are working in the industry, people who are working at record labels, A&R people, or they're just so many people that encompass the music. When it comes to that, the number of people who are women is way lesser even now than what it should be, but it's getting better. But at the same time, it's also I think there was a time where it was almost the glass ceiling was like harder to break, but I think it's not really so today. But at the same time, there is this unfair little bit of that the scales don't tilt too much towards women when they're programming festival lineups, or I think a lot has been spoken about this even earlier. Right. It takes a much longer time for a female artist to really prove themselves, their mettle to people than it does for men. And at the same time, I think now it's all still getting inclusive, but for a long time there were these tone deaf statements coming like, how many women artists are there for us to really program, where there are so many. I mean, I've been on lineups of festivals, a few of them, and there have been so many that have just overlooked because they just seem to be in their own little bubble, which is. But I think a lot has been, like, women are also speaking up about it. Well, all the female artists are talking about it. The others are talking about it in the industry. It's changing to some extent, but I think still there's a long, long way to go. And what's very important is for more female artists and also more women to kind of own up bigger roles in the music industry. I think that's what's going to change things. Like, for example, I have a record label of my own. It took me a long time to be taken seriously as someone who does this and also understands the business side of things.
Right.
Most of the time, you're spoken down to if you are a woman who's trying to put across a point of view because it's just conditioning, it's just that, it's just simple as that. But at the same time, I think it's changing, but it still has there's a long way to go. I think what's very important is for more women artists to support more women artists and to amplify more female creators, female entrepreneurs in the music industry. All of that is very important. If that happens, I think we'll be able to really make our place felt.
That makes sense. Makes really sense a lot, actually, and it's been a good amount of growth in the past couple of years with women and men in the industry.
Yeah.
So coming back to a Women Game Changers initiative, Aabha, how does it feel to be a part of the first edition of Women Game Changers?
Oh, it's amazing! I'm so honored that you guys have chosen me in the field of music as one of the Women Game Changers. I've seen the list of the women who are up there, and some of them are friends, some of them are contemporaries, and some of them are women who I really, really look up to. And it's a huge honor for me, and I'm really, really thankful. And I think this is it came out of the blue, and it was really unexpected, but at the same time it's really made me feel very, very gratified. And I think these are the little moments that make this journey that's been going on for so long worthwhile. Recognitions like these are always amazing, and I'd like to thank Hungama from the bottom of my heart for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you, Aabha, for all the amazing work you've been doing so many years. And for all the folk music that you create, because apart from Bukkus, you have such amazing songs, and I hope those get recognition on TV shows and OTTs as well. And thank you so much for being there and doing this along with us. It was really great having you.
Thanks, Elon. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
In conversation with some fascinating ladies who've changed the game in the world of video, music and gaming. Only on Hungama's Women Game Changers 2022 podcast.